the star beings that my Cree people of the Northlands talk of
It started with,
say that the Great Mother is in the fifth dimension now and she's rising. And will come a point in the dawning of this age of Aquarius that we will not have any control over those who have not seen the light yet. That it's just going to happen overnight. They're going to wake up and they will be enlightened.
Yep.
I kind of like that idea.
I like that idea too. Or
But
they
it sure
won't.
tires me out knowing I've spent 40 years in the desert and I'm almost there.
No, that's right. But you see, we were helping. Our job was to be out there helping to create the energy so it would be available now. That's what I think.
Yeah.
And I knew nothing. I was dumber than mud. And I'm a slow learner. So I had to be out there for 40 years or whatever the hell it is. You know, it took that long. I remember I've been doing a radio show with Chief Two Dog out of Kentucky. Powerful guy. I really like him. And so we started talking one time early on, one of the early shows, because we just felt this connection. And it turns out when I was 18 and he was 8, we marched together with Dr. King. Now, there's a circle that has come full all the way. I mean, we didn't know each other then, obviously. But in talking, we were in the same part of the march. There were not a lot of us white people there, especially young ones. And so now we're working with people we worked with. I don't want to count. It's a lot of years back, right, Brock? Let's not even say how many. Just way back there. And so, yeah, I mean, that's what I'm seeing. And you're right. I mean, it's just going to, I don't know exactly what it's going to do. I don't have to know. I just know it's coming.
I've been talking about it when I talk with my light worker friends and starseed peoples and stuff.
Yep.
I just say, I'm going through a whole truckload of sex wax because that keeps me on the surfboard for these waves that are just coming in and coming in, and
Yep.
they're relentless.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, y'all live over in a little ways from the big pond, but us who live out here, like right on the edge of it all, we get to see how fierce it can be.
Yep.
And that's the time that us excited people get out on our boards.
Yeah.
And go do the dance on the waves.
Yep. Yeah, that's funny because friends in Hawaii are saying very similar things. Like, okay.
Oh, my friend just lost his house.
Really?
He's been watching his house for the last, I guess, 8 weeks now. And it sat up on a berm. And all the lava came down and took out 95% of his neighborhood. Like, we're talking 500 homes.
Wow.
Wow.
And him and his wife, they split up a few years ago. And so he's got all his financial investments into that property down in, and I just love him so much. And I just read, I meet with him almost on a weekly basis up here in the men's work that we do. And I just seen checking out his Facebook page today that he got the news, because each morning he would check in and look at helicopter shots going around his land, and there was like only 4 or 5 houses. Like, we were praying and thought, just if that berm is just high enough that Mother Nature just keeps blowing around there, that house will be worth so much money standing out of 500 houses.
Wow.
And yeah, he was really sad today about that. And I'm right there with him because I could feel him all along the way for the last 2 months.
So it's part of that continued teaching of don't have many attachments right now of any kind.
Yeah.
Wow. So yes, we're already talking about this. You're right. Before we start talking about it. So just a little bit of background, Brock, and see what comes from your spirit as we do this. of course, you know the work I've been doing and Sue and I have been doing. And so Out of Water is Life and Standing Rock and the women's group and the kids group with the guns came this desire to be unifiers, which I was always told by my teachers when this time came, the biggest thing, my biggest job would be one of those who helps the four colors come together. So I'm thinking, oh, cool, it's time, finally, I actually lived long enough. I didn't think I was going to make it. And we joined several groups, but one that was just forming, they asked me to found with them, and that's the World Summit, which was created to bring all groups together to stand up to make these changes we want. And so we went to Mexico and were part of their meeting there, and we were both in various committees and blah, blah. Well, there's in my opinion, that's all it is. A big disconnect that started forming because you've got some of the people in that who truly don't understand other cultures. And so they're trying to invite cultures, but at the same time, they're alienating those cultures. And so we have one of the founders who was posting things about he doesn't want to see anything spiritual because spiritual is none of this, and spiritual doesn't mean anything to him anyway. And so at the same time they're asking us to approach indigenous people, they're putting stuff up like that. Anyway, checking into my spirit, I'm going, well, hopefully these guys will pull together a bunch of groups, and I think they will. But there needs to be something else. There needs to be a place where all people can come together, and that's why, 1,000 Points of Light. If your way is prayer, then stand up in prayer. If your way is ceremony, do that. If your way is healing, do that. It doesn't matter. It's all one. So that was my thought when we created this. How that happens, I don't have a damn clue. And I'm looking for smarter people like you to come up with some of those ideas.
Now you're trying to make me blush. I probably won't touch that intelligence level.
Okay.
I hear something really huge, humongous, big. And man, you're a visionary, Jim. Gray Wolf.
I'm crazy. I know that.
And that's good. I like crazy.
It's good.
I like being right out there on the edge.
Yep.
That if I go that way, I really make a mess. And if I go that way, I get glorified. So that's why I like to walk the edge of that sword. I'm with you all the time. You and I have always thought that way together, no matter what the topic.
Yep.
I believe. You need help, my brother.
Yep.
You need a whole busload.
Yeah.
And I don't think I can honestly be a big part of that.
No, there's no little parts or big parts. And you know that, and I know that. It's whatever part each one of us can do. And I can't carry this load. Soon I can't carry this load. I think I can see some of it, but no, it's taking my health for one thing, so I have to back off. High blood pressure, stress, all kinds of.
Are we joined at the hip or what?
Yeah. How many lifetimes have we been doing this, Brock?
Here we go again. Here we go again, brother.
And, and Sue too. So maybe, and that's why I hoped with this group, the group itself would become organic and start to do this. And then hopefully some of the elders would see what's going on and step in. Or I should say, and some of the young people, some of the, and I don't know, Brock or Sue, What do we do? Do we just do what we're doing? Each time we put together a call, three of us have shown up, which I find fascinating and kind of tells me we need a little bit of chat now, but this isn't the way forward. The way is through everyone.
So we're lacking energy. I'll own that. I'm lacking energy. I'm sick. I think all of us are carrying a physical, emotional, spiritual, burden. And so if energy, I could sing lots of fire lighting songs being a lodge man. If energy is what we need, then how do we get in touch with the millennials, the next generation that has that energy?
Yep.
That can nurture and take this ball and run it down the, because we're great coaches. I know that right here.
Mm-hmm.
We have the coaching energy, we have the philosophy. I don't have the physical wherewithal.
Right.
Unless I was to let go of probably 40, if not 60% of what I'm already in.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had young people come and kind of find us and want, because of our energy, for one, for what we do, and stay with us. And they are so ready to make a difference, to do whatever. And they realize that the elders here need the support of the younger ones. We've had 20-year-olds, we've had 40-year-olds. There's like this energy. 40-year-olds want to support our generation, but they need the support of the 20-year-olds, and to that energy. So how do we put all that together? How do we bring these people together with these 1,000 points of light and make it work?
Yeah.
Well, I think without even going into the vision or mission statement or anything like that of a group like this, that a lot of people are already in touch with all that's in the vision statement. Because we're the tail end of the baby boomers. We're the wisest ones left on the planet. And they're the ones, the next to us, they're feeling like we felt 20 years ago, that, hey, my legacy is coming up, man. I want to be remembered for something I did on the planet.
Yeah.
It's like me as a man who didn't spend enough time with his two sons. I have so much repressed, even regret about that.
Yep.
And right next beside that is, what do I want to leave in this world? And so I think that might be an attention grabbing to the younger ones. The younger ones are not necessarily, they're just starting to line up, I believe, with the 7 sacred virtues. They're starting to see that, because they're starting to see what the payback is, a good way. And to, start the morning with the prayer, may all I do and say be done in a good way. And as we call it, living the good life way. Because when they look at all the chaos that's in our world right now, whether they understand that it's intended to be there as a cleansing and a shadow revealing for me and each one of us to have, that card in the deck to shuffle my shadows every day, they might not get it as deeply as we 3 do, and other people in our age bracket that look at what's really going on. So I don't really profess to know the answer. I just know that the energy is there.
Mhm.
And how we could get them in with that. And also, right back to the old salesman pitch, what's the benefits for me to buy in to this? What's my payback? Because unfortunately, that's part of the human psyche, is that what's my payback? What's my return? If I'm going to invest 50% of my waking hours into this project or something, what's my return? And that's not speaking my truth. That is what I believe is the human psyche part. And a very wise way to look for the younger ones to really want to invest their time in a good way. So, what's the hook? What's the benefit? What's the payback for them 30-year-olds to get on top of this football field, grab the ball, and don't stop till it's touchdown time?
Mm.
Sustainable way of living, because we don't have it now. Everything's totally out of control. And I think they see that. They understand that, but they need us to help to guide them, so they can move forward. We didn't have enough time with this young couple that they were with us about 5 days, Jim, I guess it was.
5 days.
Yeah, their energy was really strong and really wanting to make a difference. And I don't know, I think of the cafes and stuff that the other group has created. I mean, that's a great idea, right? But they're just going about it all wrong. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know.
Yeah, I get what Brock's saying.
Yeah.
And I often say the same thing. Yeah, what's the hook? Because for so long I was teaching, we have to do this for the 7 generations. And we do. That's my hook. But now things have gotten so immediate. It's like, well, we got to do this to save things for the 7 generations, but we got to do it for ourselves, our generations at risk. Sometimes that makes it more immediate. And I don't like appealing to self-interest, but sometimes you have to get where you want to be. And then if they see that there's self-interest in it, I'm hoping, see what you think, Sue and Brock, that they begin to understand how critical the circle is in doing this together. So if they don't know it going in, hopefully they do as soon as they accept that they're also personally at risk.
I think Sue touched on something too, and it's, as part of my study and part of my background is, sustainability. What is it? 6 years ago now, I got into permaculture, got into natural building, cob and clay, and, that's thousands of years old, the Irish homes of rock and, over in Europe. And, there's just no question about the sustainability of building a house from the clay that's on the land that I own. I send the pigs in there in the pond when you drain it out, and they just stir up that clay and make it so beautiful. So sustainability is a big thing. There's a big group there. And what I've watched go on like that is they've created intentional communities like we talked about 5 years ago, Jim. But what I judge going on is they look at the mistakes that have been made in the intentional communities of the past decade or two, and they follow the likes of Diana Leif Christensen and stuff. And I even got closer to home PhDs on community buildings and stuff like that, or cooperative type of, housing or groups together. And they're really being selective is what I'm getting at.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to make a mistake
Yeah.
by letting the wrong person in, because all it takes is, one objector in census governance plan. And if you've got that constant semi-conscious objector, that can be one of the big challenges. Right along, just as powerful as what the other big one is, founders syndrome. This is my land. You do what I say on my land, or you go away. So I think these young millennials are looking at that. They love the natural building. They really despise what our governments have not done in renewable energy resources. They're starting to pick up on the rape and the pillage of the Great Mother. And they're starting to feel it, I believe. I'm going to give them that they're starting to come in touch with that. Because I truly believe that they come here more open than us. When I look at, the crystalline children, and even my boys that are in their early 30s as indigos, they bring gifts of knowledge to us. They almost come here knowing that this ain't their first go around. Whereas if we look at the little ones, the crystalline children that are, 10 years and younger, they're already activated. They got 13 turbines going inside of them. And us three, we're still working on 3 of those, DNA, strands. At 3s, just like you said, it comes in 3s. But those little ones are such a precious gift. It's like when I sit down on the floor so I'm the same height as them, so we're face to face, 3 and 4 and 5-year-olds, and I talk to them about what's going on in the world. Man, they sure know a lot more than what I did when I was 15.
No kidding.
And so that's our future. That is that to me, when I see that, that is part and parcel of the prophecies that we've followed all the way along. And, so the knowledge gets taller on down the line. We think we're older and wiser. I do anyhow. And I've learned to give them way more credit than I believe I ever did or got when I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
Because I was leaving home at age 12. I said, hasta la vista, babies, I'm out of here. I'm going to run my own life. And I did. And I feel very successful for that. But the knowledge wealth that's coming at us is beyond whelming.
Yeah.
So it's there. So we got the knowledge there. Let's look at this from a different tact. What if we had enough money to pay people to do this?
Right.
And I'm just throwing that out there because, as a brainstorming thing.
Yep. And that's exactly what this other group is trying. And they're attempting to raise money to give people a salary to do this. Well, that's all well and good, except to me, you're using some of the poison that's already there. So yes, if we had all the money, all the resources in the world, how would we do this? Great question.
Yeah.
Let me throw another question on top of that if I can. Because I think you hit the $64 million question. You have to get to the millennials. Second part of that, maybe it's the $128 million question. We have to get to the millennials of all cultures, not just white. And too many people think when we say millennials, we're only talking about, westernized. So it's even a broader issue to me. If I had all the money in the world to do this, what would I do? Wow. In risk of sounding like an idiot, I don't know if it would make a difference.
Yeah.
This is not about money. You and I went around, Brock, sitting around the fires, learning from the elders. When our time came, starting to teach as elders. That wasn't about money. It was hard to do that. I mean, there was times, yeah, I had $2 left in my pocket to get to the next place. Hell, we're doing it again. But anyway, I don't know if all the money in the world would help.
That's a good answer. Because without heart, I don't think things can happen.
True.
Yeah. Maybe we just need to keep doing what we're doing, getting out there, connecting people, getting them back in their hearts and connected to the earth, and getting them to really look at what's going on out there, even if if they're not. And I don't know. I mean, it's awesome to have a huge gathering, but when? And the whole idea is to get everybody connected around the world.
Yep.
Well, I'll share with you who I believe the greatest workers are, and that's because I've worked with some of them, are the Indian people.
Yep.
They built Google.
Yep.
They're in behind another company called Zoho.com. And those programmers go 30 years back to when I got involved in web development programming, back when we didn't even have a mouse. And I got private invite from them to join Google Plus when they said, we're going to take down this Facebook company with this Google Plus. And but that's where the worker bees are.
Okay.
And smart, way smarter, and I'll own the judgment, way smarter than us Turtle Island people, and even our upcoming millennials.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And that's because those Indian people know what it's like to carry water and chop wood. And something that Jim touched on there, and I can't quote it, but it was about the money.
Yeah.
And I think all three of us believe that it has to be with heart. Oh yeah, I'm privileged, so I shouldn't have to work at whatever your concept is.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
And just the opposite happens when, I was at our New Warrior Welcome Home yesterday. And there's nothing more beautiful than seeing a new warrior brother come to his welcome home celebration 2 or 3 weeks after he's been truly out in the battlefield, and brings his wife and his children, and to see the proudness of them men, and the wife saying, that's the man I married 20 years ago. And now I see why I married him. And just to see people have that, and I know we're all acquainted with what we see when miracles happen.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I love about doing this work that I do. But what they were talking about yesterday is that big festival that they have over in India, like 75 million people coming down on the land for like this 2-week festival. My, oh my.
Wow.
Like the energy and everything else that's there.
Yeah.
But that's
Wow.
That's what we're on the cusp of that, I believe, because we're not just talking about the Indian people. We're talking about all the people. And there's got to be some trigger in there. There's got to be something that, because as we've agreed, I think people are waking up, and people want to make change in the world. And how do we find the right ones, and how do we get them involved? So there's the two questions, I think. And maybe numbers, because I think the thing that has to be considered is attrition. Because as I, using that I statement, as I go into as I go into a project, if I've bought into it, I go in there 110%. But I can only sustain that for so long.
Yes.
And that's what I talk about, the attrition level. So
Yep.
if we could have a dozen starters and get 50 workers and younger and younger and younger, then the concept might have an opportunity to
Yes.
glow and grow.
Then it becomes
There's always the innovators.
Yep. Yep. You're right. And then it becomes rooted and it reaches up to the sky. It's a spirit tree at that point. Some of us older ones, we're the leaves of the tree. At some point before too long, we're going to drop off. The younger ones, they're kind of the trunk. They'll hold things after we go. All the way down. The younger ones are the roots. And so, and boy, this is interesting because Sue and I spent this morning with a 600-year-old tree. I had no idea our conversation was going to go here. Boy, you're bringing in so many things, Brock. There's, okay, the whole thing with the Indian people, and we need to find out more about when that celebration is. Maybe that's the anchor for everybody around the globe standing up at the same time. I don't know.
You mentioned you mentioned a trigger, something to light a fire.
Yeah.
And to keep it going, just like, Standing Rock. I mean, we've talked about this before. You know, does it take a crisis, a major crisis in order for everybody to get together? There's got to be something universally acceptable or something to trigger people to go, oh my God, we need to do this.
Yeah.
And it's just finding what that is. I think we need to
I got a question.
Ask our guides to kind of help us with that one.
I got a question. As I prepare to go to the next staffing, like I mentioned to Jim, it's very special. It's an indigenous staffing over in Alberta province, and it's children are dying on that reservation, half a dozen a day at a time.
Wow.
It's a very sad place. We have men that come out of the penitentiary to attend this men's weekend, and each one of them men have an individual chaperone with them 30 hours a day. Why the hell is it just the redskin people standing up, stepping up, and speaking up in our community?
Yeah, that's a great question, and I'm not sure that it is. Let's. Sue just brought up Standing Rock again, and that's an excellent point. What was the trigger there? Well, and it doesn't have to be earth-shaking. I mean, we got triggers going on all around us, and it's not causing people to stand up.
Within us?
Yeah, within
around us.
Most of this is inner work we're not doing. Yeah. But Standing Rock was a group of young people who went to LaDonna and said, we don't want these damn pipes going through our land. And then, of course, no white media covered it, so we all stepped up and became the media. That was it. That was the trigger. And then before we knew it, people of all color were there. But the red nations were leading it. Absolutely, Brock. I think we need... We need leaders in all the colors, that's for sure, to do this. If there's something the red nations have that we're, and God knows we've all worked with them extensively, and we're not understanding why is it just the red nations standing up so far. But we need to understand what that is. Maybe that comes from them, because we need the other nations. And you're talking about India, and for years and years, a lot of years, I've worked with black, white, and red on the medicine wheel, and no yellow. Just hasn't, those teachers didn't appear. Now we come to Crestone, and we have all kinds of yellow medicine here. We got a dozen or more different retreat groups spiritual groups, huge things here. And Sue and I have been working with Shumei Institute, Japanese. And so suddenly the yellow is there. And that, for me, that gives me the four colors. But much like the Indian people, I see the same thing, Brock. I see hard workers, but I also see fun and joy. I see people who understand there's got to be a change, and it has to come from the heart and the spirit. That can't start in the brain. And so I don't know, how do we, maybe that's the first job of 1,000 points. And I'll be happy to put a meeting together and invite anyone in that group who wants to just come on and talk. But maybe that needs to be the first discussion. If our job is to attract those who can do this, because we can't. And I find it interesting, all three of us have medical issues right now, which have slowed us down. That may well be intentional from spirit. Okay, you guys, you got to stop doing it all. You know, right? I mean, the others have to stand up. Brock, you can't welcome in every goddamn man that wants to come into his warrior thing. I can't welcome in everybody who wants to come into what I do. Sue can't be the grandmother to the world. And so if that's it, then how do we do that? And I think we do it from example. Then the next question is, what is that example? So I like the idea of action, education, prayer, and ceremony. People in that group can start doing things, and each time they do it, they should talk about this, in my opinion. They should say, look, we're here, we're trying to do this work, we need everybody. And really, we need you millennials, white, red, black, and yellow millennials. I don't know how we go to the Indian people, but that makes total sense. So I think we're seeing a journey here and a trail. I'm just not sure how to walk it.
And I agree with your thoughts and your words about the yellow. That's a very mighty force. And when I picked up on what you said, I realized over the years that there's a lot of balance there. Those folk, they know how to work hard, but they also know how to play hard.
Yes.
I see them up here on Whistler Mountain on our mainland.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's a world ski resort. I see them come. They got thousands and thousands of dollars. The kids are driving $80,000 Mercedes and Beamers over there on the mainland in Vancouver. They've had to make new laws because there's been so much offshore investment into Vancouver, which is only the size of 2 million people, but it's trying to live on a pavement structure made for 1 million people. So they're having big problems over there on the mainland. But they're smart, they're intelligent, they're wise, and they do as good with their money as what they do with their playtime.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So, I mean, that's a good thing. I see a good thing when I look at, the philosophy of how those children and now millennials and even, and the other thing we need to consider too in our societies is, as I'm looking, is that there's going to be a lot of wealth generated when the baby boomers start to fall away. Because there's a lot of baby boomers that got money. And even if they don't have money left in the bank, they have their house. And unfortunately, when they cross over, or when it is their time, that we're going to have a very wealthy group of young people with money. Aside from what Count Saint Germain's going to drop in our lap, and Nasara and Jassara and all these world economic things that are in the works, there is, financial jubilee coming. To the point they talk of, we won't need money in a couple more years.
Right.
And we may see that in our lifetime. I certainly believe that. I believe in and listening to the sayers of the future. So if we could say like money wouldn't be the issue, but we take that back and we go to what comes from the heart. I don't do things for money. I don't charge money for my services that I do. I just wanted, enough money in the gas tank to get there, and maybe a square meal to do a ceremony.
Right.
Because I had to drive 40, 50 miles. That's all I ever asked for. So it's never been money for me. And that's, maybe that's the people we need. But I think one common thread we got going here is the tiredness of the people who are spiritually and involved from the heart. Because I believe that the majority of us are already putting our majority into saving the world, whatever our concept is. I think I'm true in saying that.
I think you're right.
That we've seen this coming. I've seen it coming for a couple decades myself. And if the other seers have seen it coming and have been doing what little or, what brings them bliss, as Joseph Campbell would say, what wakes me up in the morning, what keeps me from going back down in that descent.
Yep.
Where I don't mind being from a shaman point of view. I love working in the darkness. That's why some of us are very good at it.
Yeah.
So that's just my piece. I mean, I watch what you and Sue do. And I don't know Sue as well as I know Jim. And just follow your walk.
Yeah.
And I see you're living a beautiful, rich life and you're being blessed. And it's not about the financial payback. It's about, doing things in a good way. I've watched the elders since I was short enough to look up to them. And I'm still a short man. So the moral of that story is it never ends looking up at the elder.
True.
So those heartfelt people are already busy.
Yes.
Yeah.
I find working with the elders, even in the Mankind Project, which are different than the indigenous elders. They're all over 50. And if they're in the ritual elder movement like myself, they're minimally all over 55 years. And like I mentioned, there's like only 178 of us out of 70,000 men. But they all do what they love because they love doing what they're doing. That my biggest takeaway is when I see a man depart on the weekend, on the Sunday, at the end of the weekend, a totally changed man. And that's my payback. And so maybe that's part of the hook too, that some people don't realize what the Good Life Way really has to offer for them, that we three are well acquainted with. If I look at the tribes, I see younger and younger chiefs now taking the council, 30 years old.
Yep.
It's really important to them that they keep the children away from these video games and these mind distracting things, but also have them totally involved in technology. Yeah.
Those things are a nightmare.
They are. Yeah, they are. But we need the technology.
That's right.
Tool.
Balance.
That's a tool.
That's the key word here, balance.
Yeah.
I mean, people obviously out there have to realize or recognize that there is an imbalance in this world. Can that be like a key jabbing point in the heart to wake people up? But how do you promote, how do you, speak of balance? really get those others that are kind of on the teeter-totter, not knowing what to do, or where to go, or how to move forward. How do we connect with those folks, or do we? Everybody's in a different place on their journey, and do we just work for the ones that are interested, like the young gentleman that came with us, or came to stay here the other day? He realizes something needs to shift, and he needs to shift. And he, came to us to stay because he really wanted to talk and connect. And, I invited him in to when I do my prayer ceremony in the morning in the dome. And then Jim spoke with him for, an hour, a couple hours. Just, that's all we're doing what we need. We're doing what we're supposed to be doing, but the energies are so friggin' crazy right now. I feel like I'm like this constantly. And it's almost like it's getting harder to stay, in that spiritual high. Because everything just wants to keep bringing me down. So I just want to say, fuck it all. I'm done with this, It's crazy. Have to work.
Yeah, I picked up something there about the balanced people. If I was to think about the balanced people in our society that are not on the red road, probably the biggest group of balanced people are the ones who are studying under the yoginis and yogis. Those yoga people. They go everywhere with their yoga mat. They got their yoga mat, and they're going to Starbucks because they can afford $5 coffees.
Yeah.
When I'm at Timmy Hortons or Mom's Country Kitchen for $1.25.
Yeah.
So they got the money, they got their own bed, they can sit for hours. I heard an elder say, we spend 60 years working toward enlightenment, and then when we get there, and it so reminded me of my meditation practice for many decades. When I got there, I found out there was absolutely nothing there.
Yep.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what this elder said. He said, we spend the first 6 decades trying to become enlightened, and when we get there, we got nothing to say about it. That's why elders everywhere are, kind of glued into their lazy boy chair or couch surfing. So their wisdom is being passed down verbally, if not energetically, to some of these yoginis. There's some of us that, I had my Kundalini awakening in 97. I'll never forget that explosive experience in my life. And to try and explain that to another person, being totally open from stem to stern is something that until they feel that themselves.
Yeah.
But that's a big force. That's a big army. All the yogis.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I see a lot of them walking around, constantly in the heads in the sky, or, and they're not doing anything. They're just walking around. Their sustainability, their minimal, use of water and, everything, but they're not going anywhere with it. They're just wandering aimlessly, and they don't know what to do next. At least some of the ones we've met here like that.
Yeah, and elsewhere, but
yeah,
I think maybe you're hitting part of the answer right there, along with what Brock was saying. Giving the guidance and understanding is something we can do. And that's what we're meant to do. And 68 years, almost 69 years for me now. Because I feel I started the minute I was birthed, trying to understand and learn. And until I understood that there was nowhere to get to, I mean, you're right, Brock. There is nowhere. It is the journey until you get that. So if we can get to these people and tell them, don't wait for something to happen. Don't wait to create this beautiful, perfect world. That's not what it's about, folks. You're on the journey now. Use the energy you're willing in a constructive way, not in a passive, bounce around off the trees and rocks way. Then we've done something, I think, something major.
That's what John Kabat-Zinn said. Wherever you go, there you are.
Okay. Yep.
Mm-hmm. There's even people waiting for those spaceships to come and save them.
Well, that's a whole different, we're not going after that. That's a whole different thing. They're waiting for God. They're waiting for the aliens. They're waiting for, I don't know. They're waiting for Brock Foster. I don't know.
Long gone is the time of the guru. One has to look inside.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay. About 3 or 4 weeks ago, we did a radio show, and we had one of these people on from this group that I'm talking about that are too set in what they're doing. They're totally in the head. They're not. And so at one point, Two Dog was talking about this, and he said, we've got to make the changes together. We've got to be working out there, do things collectively. But we must be working inside at the same time. Because if we're not going to be able to affect the outside. And this fellow just went nuts. Because someone was telling him what he had to do and how he had to do it. He totally missed the point. And that is a big, huge teaching. And that's one I think we all carry. I don't care how we got to be where we are now, how we learned enough to be considered elders, doesn't matter. We've got to be able to share that this is just another step on the journey. Don't be afraid of it, but don't rejoice that, boy, we're going to get through this and it's all over and everything's good. We sit back, put our feet up, and people wait on us. It ain't going to happen. This is an awesome.
Another adage to that is when we have men coming on the weekend, all of us staff men get hooked up with one of them before the weekend to act as a mentor and to talk to him about, do you have any questions, or what are you coming for? What do you hope to get out of this weekend? What have you been doing all your life? So we get into some stuff there. And this man, they've been in the men's work for 20 years, everything from Landmark to Tony Robbins to all sorts of stuff. He just said, Brock, he said, I heard of this Mankind Project years ago. I know this guy, I know that guy, I know all these other guys that are involved in that. And I said, just tell me what you want. Actually, I got to write that down. So let me know what you're coming for. So I was the elder man on that blessed him onto his carpet work and witnessed his carpet work. And we watched that very, 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 very close. And like I mentioned, yesterday was the welcome home. But the day before, he phoned me and we had the conversation on the phone for 2 hours from this man, who knew other men that I know from the project for years. And that man shed so much light on my personal shadow work. And when he started to open up and talk about him being a Métis man and his mother being, indigenous, and his father was a white man, and what kind of life he had growing up and everything, I just thought, man, Creator sends gifts all the time. And if I ever close my mind to what another's got to say or whatever, I'm the loser. I'm the loser out of that.
That's right.
And it was just incredible that there was stuff that I was personally working on the last few weeks. And here he come and he just I just said, speak your piece, brother, whatever you want to say. I said, you can't say nothing that's going to shock me. And he just went bam, 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 bam. He drives a taxi cab. He told me all these different stories. I said, and you think any of that was a coincidence? Like all those stories he told me. I said, this jade that I wear on my neck, that comes from the Haida Gwaii. That comes from the Haida Gwaii elders up in Haida. Where those tombstones are, where you were planting trees when you were a tree planter. I said, there's a synchronicity going on here. And, you know, your name is Stephen with a V-E-N. Mine's with a P-H-E-N. I said, there's all sorts of stuff because, you know, we're that tight. We're all joined together.
Mhm.
That's why I love this work, because nothing surprises me. It just wakes me up to what I haven't looked at myself. You know, how many men are walking around with mirrors? I'm going, yeah, okay, I thought I was the owl and I could see in the darkness, but here's someone with your mirror.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the gift I get back from doing the work that I do. And people are starting to pick up on that. And I can see a cross between the yoginis and the Aztecian elders and the indigenous elders and Yeshua himself. And there's just the Buddha. There's just so, well, we're 98% same and 2% different. And even our woundings are not that far apart that we carry, because we're all wounded healers, I believe. I bought into that years ago. I'm a healer of some sort. Once I get beyond my wounds or use them as the tools in my tool bag.
Right.
You know? So maybe there is a hook right in there is a sameness. What brings us all together? What's unifying us?
Yeah. So for the other admins in this group that we're talking, I'll post this up. Everybody can listen to it. Start thinking about these things, folks. How do we approach these people? Do you agree? First of all, this is kind of what we're at in this group. But how do we move this ahead? How do we step up on this journey and not be the ones doing all the work? Because I'm so glad that went there, because I've been feeling that so strongly. And, you know, we've carried the wood a long, long time. Now we need others to carry the wood and let us sit at the fire and share back what we have learned, especially our mistakes. Not that any of us have made mistakes, but other people.
Oh, I know some of us are perfect. Thank you. Thank you.
Perfectly imperfect.
Well, maybe just coming together and brainstorming like this. You know, Spirit's eventually going to pop something through that's going to go, oh my God, why didn't we think of that? You know, it's just, it's all in the timing. We know that things come, maybe not when we want them to come, but
that's ego. That's right.
When we're ready. Yeah.
So well, we'll do that. We'll get it up for others in the admin group. But then we'll try to write this up. Or maybe we just post this video for everybody in the group. I don't know. And
well, I was going to ask if you had a scribe. So not me. I can't read my own writing.
No, I can't either. I got it typed because nobody can read my writing, including me.
No, very true.
So, yeah, I mean, we can go into this and at least capture the main points and put it up, and or share the video around if we want. It's nothing secret. But then let's try a call and invite everybody and just chat. If people are in agreement, then the next thing is, and that has to come from the whole group, I think. How do we do some of these things?
Yeah.
None of us are smart enough, individually or even in our little group of 6, to come up, because this is a big undertaking.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Huge.
Huge.
I
Now
feel
you
it's
sound
meant
like,
to be huge. I feel it's
oh,
meant to be overwhelming, even to us.
yes, yes,
Yeah.
I have
yeah.
that. Spirit's telling me that.
Oh boy, yeah, man, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
What a great way to eliminate ego from this.
Yeah.
And we're just 3 points of light right here.
Yeah, we're 3 points of light out of, well, there's 7.6 billion people on this globe. How many do we need? I don't know, but it's a lot.
I think we need each one of them. They need to all buy in.
I think so too.
In
I
fact, I
think we
rounded
do,
off
but
to
not,
I just rounded
yeah,
off to 8 billion all the time. It's just easier for me to count.
okay. That's
8
good. It
billion.
gives you a little bit of little wiggle room.
Well, how many are born in every 24 hours?
Oh,
Yeah,
I know.
right.
Gee.
So yeah, I think we need them all, but not on the same road. The road of some will be pulling back, pushing back, trying to stop the change. And that's okay because that lets us understand the energy that has to shift.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with that. But we need a good number who are awake and are willing to participate. And I don't care how they want to participate. Like we are, you know,
Yeah.
sitting and doing what we can, or like the heavy lifters and carriers, you know, whatever.
I got an idea.
Okay.
Now that Drapel is set aside a little bit, people are waking up here in Canada to Kinder Morgan. They just watched our government
Yeah.
spend 4.6 billion of our dollars
Yep.
on a pipeline that's older than you and me, with
God.
plans to build another one beside of it. How do we get in touch with the people that have fallen away from the Standing Rock? And
Yeah.
that's just one.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one. Because right now, you're the only few of us that still wave a Standing Rock flag is knowing that nothing is ever over.
Right.
So if I were to say that 90% of the people have put down their flags now that Standing Rock is kind of in a lull, and now a bunch of them come up here to Canada and go, we want to get arrested in Burnaby, Ontario, or Burnaby, BC, outside of Kinder Morgan's Gateway. Even our politicians are starting to line up to do a bit of that. And
Yeah.
that's a good thing to see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, but all those people on Facebook, there's got to be a big percentage of them that aren't, doing the cheer and waving the flag now. So where have they gone?
You know, that's a good question, and it's been one we've been playing with now for months. We still have, I think, about 130,000 people in our largest group, our largest Standing Rock group. Now, when this was really active and going on, we probably had half of them active at any time. I mean, really engaged. Now, if it's 10%, it's a lot. However, we're starting to see some of that surface a little. When Standing Rock, and we kept talking about how we knew it was going to end sooner or later. That particular thing, it wasn't about that. It's about this whole thing. But when that happened, a lot of people gave up. A lot of people were just weary. So you're right. How do we re-energize that base? And we always have to remember that it's only 30% of the world population on the virtual realm anyway. We have to get to all those people. When you're up there, when you're meeting with the people, a lot of those are not on we got to talk to them. When Sue and I go out, we're going to Navajo Land in a couple of weeks. We got to talk to them. I think we got to make sure we're hitting all people. Right. And what about the other groups? Okay, we talk about the millennials, and I still don't have the answer to that. I've reached out a lot of times, and I do get some positive feedback. I've gotten some positive feedback from the kids who are working on the guns in school part. But there's so many others beyond that who are fed up with us old farts who they think have done nothing now.
Oh, yeah.
And I get it. But we have to somehow make them understand we're doing all we can. We never gave up. Yes, we got quiet for a while. Yes, we got tired. Yeah, our hair is gray. We're missing. What? So the dogs agree. The animals are with us. Ooh.
Okay, is that
Okay.
it for today?
I think so. I think the dogs just said you guys have hit a lot of big points. Let's put it out there and let's see what comes next.
Yeah. So the plan is to Sue's gonna break it down into bullet points or point form,
Oh,
so we can
gosh.
have it in
Oh,
print.
great idea.
I'm not good at that. My memory is really bad.
No, you just have to play the recording.
Yeah. Just play the recording and write it down. It doesn't have to be word for word. What
No.
would we just spend 10 minutes talking about? About 4
Concept.
points.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll
And then
work
the half hour before that. The half hour before that was another 4 points.
I've got like a dozen points right here on a pad that I was just certain ones as we went through. But yeah, once we have the recording set up, we can do that. I'll put the recording up for the rest of the admins. And then we can just chat on the admin and say, okay, do we put it up for everybody or do we just put the main points? And we'll see.
I think they really need to hear it. I think they need to hear our voices and listen to it. If they're really dedicated, wanting to move forward and work with this, I think.
I gotta differ with that.
Okay.
I gotta differ with that. That term dedication. When I call a meeting, you either show or you don't show. If you don't show, you don't get no recording. If you were interested enough in what went on at the meeting, you'll be there.
Okay.
And that's only my personal feeling. And I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to, an elder. I don't tell my elder that I'm going to be there at 2 o'clock and show up at 2:05. Never.
That's true.
Yeah. I guess I was thinking more for all the people in the group because they weren't invited. The admins were invited. So we could just put up the main points for the admins.
Yeah, whatever y'all decide, I'm with you. I just given a little bit of, I hold people to account. If
I do too.
say they're interested, if they say they're going to show, then, what's that? What's that saying? I don't know.
Be there
Action
or be square.
talks, bullshit walks.
Oh, yeah.
Something like that. Show me the money.
It used to be money talks, bullshit walks, but money does not apply anymore. Now it's spirit talks. How about spirit talks?
There you go. Spirit talks.
Spirit talks.
Whatever's going to work for the people.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, Nico Bear has got it. Nico Bear. That's the guy we got to get. Nico Bear.
Okay, see, now that's one of the ones I'm talking about, Brock. We met him at a concert in the hills a couple years ago. And now he works with the young man from Boulder who's got a huge following. We have tried to get to them. We even know the grandparents of this young fella, and he doesn't respond. If we could get people like that, they're the present day Bob Dylans. They're the present day John Lennons.
Mm-hmm.
And we need those.
Yeah.
We need the arts. So that's a great one. I'm glad you said Naco Bear. Yeah. Because
they're truly medicine for the people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
And that's what we have.
Yep.
That's what we're trying to give it away.
Yep.
And we shouldn't have to struggle to give away our gold. Our gold and our gifts that Creator gave each and every one of us to make the world a bigger and better place.
Right.
And that's all this we're talking about. All them 1,000 lights. Amongst us, 100 people, we have thousands and thousands of lights to give away.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to try reaching out to Naco Bear again. And I'm going to put as the header, Naco Bear, we need some medicine for the people. And then I'll write him a note. Let's see what happens. He can't argue with the title.
No.
No, he's got it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good note.
Okay,
Kevin.
loved ones. So good to
Thank
see
you, brother.
you. I'm so blessed by finally meeting you, Sue.
Nice to meet you
And
in
I
person,
know
face to
this is
face.
just the beginning
Also.
of something massive, a great big
Oh,
heart. I
Yeah.
can feel it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Get
brother.
the rest of them big hearts
Okay.
in here with us next time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll do
whatever.
that.
I know it's always hard to get a Zoom meeting together. I
Oh, yeah.
have much experience at trying to please all the people all the time.
Mm-hmm.
So just post up when you get the, keep doing what
Yeah.
we're doing.
Yeah.
That's all. Never
Till we
give
can
up.
till we can get a Saturday or a Sunday or whatever's going to work for the majority of people. Because
Mhm.
that's, next time it'll be 4 people or 5, and then
Yep.
6 or 7 or 10.
We'll
Or
grow.
100 or 1,000.
Okay, blessings, brother and sister.
Okay.
Oh,
Blessing.
Be well.
Yep. You too.
later.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.